والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. أيها الإخوة والأخوات،
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. After praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sending peace upon His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Shaykh is welcoming everyone to this new episode of our live fatwa night from Mishkah Center, Houston, Texas. It's one of the most beautiful days of Ramadan. The first question came from
لو أن أحد من الناس اشترى شقة
uh, the one who sent the question said if somebody bought an apartment
هل تلزمه زكاة ماله؟
and after 8 years he sold that apartment,
أن العقارات
is it eligible to, or is it requiring zakah? Should he pay zakah for that?
إلا
And how can he calculate it?
وكانت محلا للبيع والشراء بقصد الاستثمار، وهنا القول وتزكى أصلا أيضا تكون مالا زكيا إن ادخرت
Well, Sheikh says all real estate, houses, land,
بلغ الريع
or especially apartments
سواء
is not like uh, does not require any zakah unless it's used to be for commercial business or like a store for sale in order to make some money or some profit. In this case only, yes, you could calculate the zakah and pay zakat for that. Or even if you rent it out, so if you rent that place out to somebody else, this is money coming like an income. In this case, you should pay zakat for that apartment. But if he sells that apartment, for example, and now the money in his hand now, when it turned 1 year in his hand, he should pay zakat of that. And again, that's like the 2.5% because it's money.
يعني أقول له هذه التراتيب إلهية.
The question now is, Sheikh, I would like to know about the hukm of gaining this baqa or that hajj
على أصل
like package for this year,
يشوبها شيء من الجو
mainly for people in Canada and the US.
وليس على من
Sheikh says,
من حساب هؤلاء المشروع فلا حرج عليك في التعامل مع هذه الباقة إذ لا سبيل لك إلى الحصول
Sheikh says this is like, like
أنها قد مرت بي
managerial issues taken care by the government in Saudi, for example.
فيهاش شرعية بعضها يعني قد يكون مواليا وبعضها قد يكون ليس
These issues might be reviewed by some committees either overseas or even some people would take the side of that, some people would against that. But then you don't have to worry about that. Just try to buy the package that satisfies you and just to go with it.
رجل توفي له ولد وبنت توفت ابنته قبله ولها ولد وبنت هل يرث أحفاد الرجل إذا توفي
Next question, a man passed away and he left behind a boy and girl. The girl also passed away.
إن كان لا يمكن
I'm sorry, the girl passed away before him
وخال هذين
and she has a boy and girl. So what about this grandchildren?
لا ميراث للأحفاد
How they
أولاد الأولاد محجوبون بالأولاد الأولاد أقرب درجة إلى المتوفى منه
as Sheikh says, like there is the default that or the hukm. They said scholar said uh, the children, they prevent the grandchildren from getting earth or inheritance.
بعض قوانين الأحوال الشخصية في كثير من بلاد المسلمين.
Some of the scholars said they might get some,
عند ترتيب
uh,
تلك قضية قانونية تناقش مع المحامين
and that could be given as wasiya, as in his will or in her will, like the son uh, or the children that would give their children like a wasiya or a will, but it cannot exceed 1/3. Some of the Muslim countries actually they adopt this kind of rules.
ويذكر بقول الله تعالى وآتوا اليتامى أموالهم ولا تتبدلوا الخبيث بالطيب ولا تأكلوا أموالهم إلى أموالكم إنه كان حوبا كبيرا إثما عظيما.
But you have to protect the rights of these orphans, like their mother passed away, so these two kids, the boy and girl of that mother that who passed away before her dad, should be protected. So their uncle or the khal in Arabic should be the wasi, should be the one who's the guardian on that money until they are reaching the years of, I think, like 21 years old, and at that time they would be transferred that money. And the uncle should be actually doing that, and also fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on that job or that service. Number 4, I have partnered one of my friends in a project to make perfumes for men and women, but somebody told me like the kuhl is dirt or najis and don't use it.
لأن الأصل في الأشياء الطهارة سواء كان الكحول صفر أم خفر
The
فلا حرج من استخدام
it's alcohol.
طبية
So he told me like alcohol is najis. We cannot use it in all these perfumes. We cannot. We don't know how to replace it or what to replace it with or how to replace it with. What should I do? So the Sheikh says the najasa or the dirt of alcohol is a situation that some scholars accept that theory and some of them they do not. It's mainly if you use it as a wine in wine or al-khamr. So if you put the hukm on wine as dirt or najis, so these perfumes are najis, but whoever said al-khamr or the wine is tahir, so these perfumes are tahir. But most or many of the scholars they don't see that najasa of the perfumes, and the many committees actually they already pointed out that in their articles. So there is nothing wrong by using the alcohol, for example, in the medicine or the medical field as like purifying material or matter or substance to clean, for example, the injuries and stuff like that, or the tools, and to kill, like, for example, the microbes or whatever. And also to use in like the perfumes and so on.
والشكر ليس بالقول فقط الشكر بالعمل فهذا عمل شكر مشروع وجميل ومقدر وأرجو أن يتابع عليه إن شاء الله.
Next question is about making a will or digging a will is as a sadaqah, as a continuous sadaqah, charity. And also an niyyah to thank Allah, to praise Allah on the blessing He gave me when I graduated from the college or the university.
أول عهدك بالحياة وعلى مشارف
I would do that either in Africa or India. Some of my friends actually are against that. They said the better to do that for the needy people of your relatives or the people of the country that you live in.
لئن شكرتم لأزيدنكم إذا كنت في نعمة
Sheikh says it's a
فإن
great,
المعاصي تزيل النعم
a great thing.
حافظ عليها بشكر الإله فإن
So when you start, actually, when you have the niyyah to start that job or that work, so just to complete this one, don't stop it. This is not the end of the this gate of or this door of having like sadaqah jariyah, a continuous charity. Make the next one to be it your relatives, to be it your people from your country or your city or your town, and that would all go to your good deeds. Next question, I have a card from my bank and it gives like 20% for just a temporary time. Can I, if I pay my zakah or my money zakah from that card, can I take the interest or whatever comes out of that? So Sheikh says there is nothing wrong to get the money or the cash money or the cash back. It's not riba. It's actually opposite to riba. So that decrease the debt or the loan. It's not increasing. Whatever comes out after that it should be considered as a new income. It's added to the income that you make in the next year, and then you can take the zakat or pay the zakat of that plus this. One of my relatives would like to pay zakat of his money by buying gold and saving that gold to like orphan girls from the family. When they are about to get married, he would help them with that. Considering that also he's paying them like some money every month for like food or living expenses. Is that jaiz? Sheikh says zakat is only provided to poor and needy in order to secure them the essential needs in this life. But the mahr and the preparation of the married or the marriage house, it's a responsibility for the future husband. With the change in the cultures and the traditions of the societies now or communities, that has become like like a common like responsibility between the two couple. So there is no easy way to do it unless both the husband and wife would actually participate in that and do it together. So if this guy saved that money in order to help that in the future, that would be something like the common traditions in this city or that society or that community. That would be accepted. As we know, the default that the gold is not a part of that. Somebody's asking about a material used in some of, or ingredient used in some of the food in Canada. He wanna know if it's halal or haram. The name is mono a diglycerides. And Sheikh said, I have no idea about this substance. I don't know what are the main ingredients of it or the chemical composition of it. Again, if it's a vegetarian thing or any animals that are halal to eat, so it's halal. Otherwise, it's haram.
يعني الجواب عن هذا لقد كان الحديث عن أحوال الكساد العام التي تركل فيها الأسواق.
Somebody said, Sheikh, I have heard your hukm or your fatwa regarding the zakat of real estates or uh, owned by somebody when his intention is tijara, is business,
الحركة في الأسواق متوقفة تماما.
that he would just pay zakat of 1 year when he sold that house or that apartment.
من المناسب تقليل المالكية في هذا.
But my question is about when this guy intended to build that house or that building, that might take like years, short or long. Should he pay zakat of all these years or just 1 year? Sheikh says, for example, the COVID, when it hits, it changed a lot of our traditions, like some of this, the market on some of the businesses actually has stopped, like selling sales, especially in the real estate. So you have to pay zakat for every year, but if something like what happened during the corona or the COVID, you could actually pay only for 1 year, otherwise you have to pay for every year.
أو 1000 دينار من الذهب أو 12000 دينار من الفضة. وذلك فاضل كبير.
Next question of today, or the question of today, a driver was shot by the Israeli forces. They killed him. They thought he's gonna actually hit them or target them. When they found out that he was like killed by a mistake, the one of the courts in Israel decided to give them compensation or ta'weed. Would his family accept that money or not? Sheikh says, well, it's known that the Sheikh says, I cannot make in general that the money of the occupiers is halal. But in this case, yes, it is halal. He should take, or his family should take this money, because, you know, like killing somebody by a mistake or so,
التاجر إما أن يكون مديرا وإما أن التاجر الذي يبيع التاجر المحتكر الذي ينتظر حوالة الأسواق يشتري السلع التي سلمت
Sheikh said, let me go back to this point I discussed before, the difference between the two, you know, like sellers. Sheikh says there is one is actually using monopoly, like he can buy a certain item, a certain commodity, and he stored this one until the market is really in need of that, and then he would just get it out to people with very high prices.
أو ما تمس حاجة الناس إليه في زمن في وقت أزمة زمن
So when there is a crisis, when there is a big need
أساسية لا بديل للناس
or a high need of that, for example, commodity or that item, at that time only that guy, he's like a very experienced with monopoly, would just bring that to the market at that time and then start selling it with like a very high prices. That's totally against.
فقط ركعات تركعه
So Sheikh says this is haram. Taqwa is not only when you make few rak'ahs in salat, when you fast. No. Taqwa also exists when you do trades, when you do business, when you do everything in the life. So on the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam,
قال يا معشر التجار
the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam once came out and he said to the people, like most of these traders or these people selling things will be resurrected on the day of judgment, and most of them are like fajr, except those who are like seeking taqwa and do good or do well.
الأصل في التسعير البيع
So this is why, according to Sharia, it's prevented to give a certain price for a certain commodity.
إن الله هو الخالق
Even they ask the Prophet ﷺ, wouldn't you be able, O Prophet of Allah, to tell us what price we should sell?
لكن استثناء من هذا الأصل العام في أوقات الأزمات
But again, you cannot actually abuse that concept or abuse that principle that there is no tas'ir, there is no like obligation of putting or setting a price on a commodity. But also it's forbidden and prevented to store a commodity, and then until the market is thirsty of that commodity, you would go and putting that in the market with a very high price. So the justice of Allah is between all the people. This is the exception of setting a price of a commodity. So the meaning that this trader who uses monopoly
قد يطول الظروف سنة وسنوات وسنوات ولا بيع ولا شراء. هنا جاءت المالكية
So he might be waiting years and years and years until he would sell that commodity. This is why we said this guy would pay zakat only for the year he sold this commodity only.
وتتكدس السلع في مخازنهم ولا يجدون لها يعني
But this is again could happen, but in intentional.
يعني قالوا ان التاجر يزكي الى يزكي سنة واحدة
So this guy would just pay zakat for only 1 year. The year he actually sold this item or that commodity to the customers.
طلعت يعني أجهزة جديدة تحول هذه إلى أجهزة إلى عبء في مخازن لا تباع ولا تشترى فقط عبء يتحمل
And Sheikh's giving an example, for example, if they are devices, for example, and then he bought them, but then by the depreciation, this item, there is a new version of that item. When it's released, it's gonna actually make the old item or the old version to be cheaper. So in this case, we said he should pay only 1 year of zakat and not worry about the previous years. But again, he should not be like among this who are abusing this concept or that issue. We call it monopoly. Sheikh is making dua for everybody and making dua for our brothers and sisters in Gaza and in every single spot in the Muslim land that people are treated with disrespect or tortured or like targeted by their enemies.